thank you all for being here. First of all, my name is Bessie Helms. Most of you know me. Most of you know me. I'm from here, graduated here. This community means a lot to me. To see so many people suffering because they have to make a choice between keeping their electricity on or feeding their families or buying their much needed medicines. We all have questions that we need answers to. Now, if Petit, and I just need to say this, if Petit employees are here, we need to make sure that we are respectful because we want them to answer our questions. We don't want them to feel like they need to put a wall up and forget about them. We're not going to do that. So if we could just be as respectful as we can. I understand everybody's angry, but we're not angry at all the Petit employees. So at this point, I think I'm going to turn it over to Miss Lonnie, and she will finish out this part of the meeting.
We certainly did not expect to see this many people here. I was at Walmart earlier talking to a friend, and I said, I hope at least 10 people show up. Ta-da! So, everybody signed the sign-in sheet and the multi-person complaint. This isn't sustainable, and I guess you guys all know this. It's not sustainable. We need relief. To get that relief, we're going to have to go through our governor, through our Attorney General, and through the Arkansas Public Service Commission. That leaves me every time. That's who the multi-person complaint is going to. Our governor has put forward some legislation to circumvent the Arkansas Public Service Commission. Petit is in a group with about, I think, 13 other co-ops. And we don't know what they're doing because it's all kind of secret. But whatever they do has to go through the Arkansas Public Service Commission. Of course, you know, they don't do much unless a whole bunch of us say do something. But we need that legislation stopped because if they can circumvent the Arkansas Public Service Commission, we're all in trouble. Entergy's already said, but Entergy's not really involved in it because they're not a co-op. Sorry. I felt like I was screaming. Entergy's not involved because they're not a co-op. But they've already said that their rates will go up about 25%. Can you imagine those that aren't as regulated as Entergy is, what's going to happen to us? So we all have to, not just one or two. We cannot rely on our neighbor to fix this because our neighbor cannot. It takes all of us. So I guess I'm asking, who's willing to actually do something?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that the venue is so small. I am sorry that things are kind of like this, but we did not know. I've never done anything like this in my life. I didn't have a clue. It's not like planning a birthday party. You just don't know. So I guess we're going to turn the floor over. If you have something you want to say, let's try to be respectful and see who stands up first. And, you know, we got the news cameras over here. If there's something you want to say, tell us about your electric bill, how this has affected you. There have got to be some people here.
Can you have them come up here where the voice recorder is?
Okay, and come up here where they can hear what you're saying. Arkansas needs to know how badly some people are suffering. I paid my bill. I thought, dang, I don't want to pay that. But I paid it. I can. There are people here who cannot. They just cannot. And what's going to happen to them? We need to help our neighbors. So at that, I'll let somebody come up and say their piece. There's a voice recorder here, he said, but you need to scream so you can hear.
Okay. Hi. We live in Formosa. We have a kind of different family. We've adopted two of our grandkids. I have a 12-year-old daughter over there that's a cardiac patient. My husband's on oxygen. I have multiple sclerosis and I have in-home care 3 days a week. I was told if I didn't have electricity, I could not receive my in-home care. So we're at risk of losing our in-home care, his oxygen, and our electricity. When I spoke to the director over there at Petit, he said, we'll give you 48 hours notice before we shut your utilities off. And we can't pay these prices. We live on Social Security. We're trying to support 2 kids. We can't do this. And we don't know what to do next because the churches are broke. Ozark is out of money. All the places you can usually go to get help with utilities is out of money. So, and we are an all-electric household. And, huh? $692 this month. It was $300 in December. It was $444 in January, and $692 this month.
Wow.
And there's just 3 of us. We don't really even use that much. And when I tried to talk to the electric company, one of the people there told me that I might have an electric leak. I didn't even know what to say. I mean,
Shut the tap off.
but we're at wit's end. We don't know what to do. And when you adopt a grandchild, you don't get child support anymore. You don't get any kind of assistance. We make $38 too much for food stamps. So we're just kind of sitting here not knowing what's going to happen. I've got an extension till the 3rd. If I can't pay it by then, we won't have electricity. So
We're gonna pay it.
somehow.
We gotta pay it.
I know.
My name's Roy Clark, and I live over in between Clinton and Shirley, about halfway. Okay, so we've lived back here about 24 years from moving around all over the country, and I have some handouts on bylaws of Petit and all that kind of stuff. You can look out at the legal system of it and how it all works and what it's responsible for. But I would like to focus on a few things here that I believe that concerns everybody. The electric cooperative is owned by the ratepayers here that have electric meters on their premises. We are involved in 3 or 4 counties, and so Petit reaches out to a lot of people. We have a large percentage of retirees, widows, grandmothers taking care of their children or trying to, and they're trying to do it on a fixed income, and they didn't get the extra added money last month they needed to pay the additional electric bill. They didn't get that. So they're in a real crisis. My wife and I, praise the Lord, we can pay our bills. But I'm up here primarily for those who cannot, and those who are suffering the most. And I just hope that you will pay attention to about 12 or 13 things here. I'll hit them quickly. And for many years, our phone service and internet service was served by our telco. According to our latest info from the PSC, we were not giving any info from our local Petit board. The amount of money the board was in debt to something like, I'd originally thought 60 million, but the total debt today is about 105,057,000 is what it is today. The broadband has been moved into Petit Electric, basically, and so what we're doing is we are paying our electric bill, but we're also paying for broadband. Okay? So I didn't sign up for broadband. I signed up for electricity because I want my house. That's what I need most of all. And I'm 85 years old, and I definitely don't need to be up here like this. I ought to have my great-grandchildren that's pretty old, you know. But,
Question.
a new manager has moved in, hired by the board, had $400,000+ a year, and the board is compensated anywhere from $17,000 to $28,000 a year. Okay? Made ready fiber construction, that's 18.7 million. Fiber network is 76 million. And when you total all that up, that's a bunch. That's a bunch for ratepayers in this county to be paid. Let me run these points to you. Total liabilities are $173,941,000. Fiber debt, $94,943,000. Average interest rate on debts, 5.7%. About 5 years ago, it was 2 or 3%. So the debt is imposed on them. Liabilities on the fiber company is $9 million. Investment from co-op into fiber company to cover a loss of $1.375 million. The operating margin of the co-op was a loss of $1,136,588. The net margin was only $53,461. I don't understand all those numbers, but they're all in the Public Service Commission report. It's not my report, okay? The average compensation of board members that attend those boards, and I'm assuming they go once a month for the board meeting, their average board member income is $31,094 apiece. The average per capita income for Van Buren County is $27,000. So the board members are getting more money than the average per capita income of a resident in the county. The compensation for Michael Kirkland, CEO, $400,000 plus. The average household income for Van Buren County is $47,000. Okay? Now, let me say something. Why should electric payers supplement broadband? You know, why should we, as electric people wanting electric service, why should it be added on our bill? Seems to me that broadband ought to stand on its own or fall on its own. Not something that should fall this way. The board authorized all these expenses, and it appears that no one had a fair plan to pay for broadband. It's just to put it in. So they dumped it on the electric payers of Petit, you and I. We're the ones to pay it. 3 years ago, the borrowing rates were 2 to 3. I just said they are now 5 to 6. Our service availability fee is $35. That's just to have it. Last month, I have a shop. I had service availability. I did not use 1 kilowatt, and it was like $47, $48. Okay? Not 1 kilowatt. The board is paying the manager more per payer than any other co-op in the state. Okay? How will some of our recovering addicts, I teach addicts, try to help these people, men and women, get off drugs and alcohol? Been doing that for 40 years. Okay? How can they come out of a plan and a program of electricity service like this and have electric service in a place when they're trying to pick up their kids and they're trying to be a dad or they're trying to be a mom and they're coming into something like this? I don't see how in the world they can make it. I really don't. AECC, Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation, is raising Pettigene's wholesale price. Petit has to buy it from AECC. And that rate last published was 3.7 increase. So you think your last bill was high, guess what your next one's going to be. Okay? This is additional, and we have not been warned in any kind of Petit mail out. At least not at our residence, 993 Peel Road. Okay? We didn't know it until we got the notice of our bill. In closing, the bylaws say the board has been responsible for creating all of this debt. That does not fall on the responsibility of the manager. In these bylaws here, there's only 4 short lines that is the responsibility of the manager, and all the rest of that document has to do with the board of directors. Okay? We elect board of directors too about every year, I think it is, something like that. I'm not real sure of that. But the election is coming up, and we need to be sure that we have people that represent the ratepayers of Petit Electric. Okay? That's the kind of people I want representing me. I don't want to be on it, but we need somebody that will speak up. We need transparency in Petit. We don't have transparency in Petit. You know? You can call me a Trumpite or a Bidenite, whatever you want to call me, but transparency usually solves a world of problems. But when you do actions and you take actions and you do not consult the people who's going to be responsible for paying the bill, that's why we have 200 or 300 people here tonight. Okay? So I encourage you to stand up. I encourage you to speak your voice. I expect us to be civil, but I expect us to be responsible, and I expect the board and the manager to be accountable. Their problems, they need to. It's not my place to solve the problem, or it's no one else around here's problem. It's their problems. They created it. They created it. We're announcing right now, as per his permission coming from Florida, Wade Lucas of Lucas Farms in Shirley will be running for the board that is coming up, and we are already contacting some other people. There will be options on the ticket this year when election shows up. A bit of advice from an old man that's been around a long time: every Tom, Dick, and Harry don't need to run. We need somebody that will stand for the ratepayers, okay? And they need to be few in number, and the incumbents need to be listed on the ballot. Okay? There's a world of people don't even know who the incumbents are. So we need to know. Thank you. Here's your copy if you want to know the details. Right there they are. On the board?
Okay, I don't have much to say. I'm just a landowner, and I have 5 meters that I pay on. And when I get the bill and it doubles, that means it went from 1,000 to 2,000. So it hurts, you know. These are my bills.
Wow.
So that's all I get to say. Somebody's got to.
This is just going to be real quick. I know my electric bill is not what everybody else's is, but I am here for you. I will tell you that I spent over $6,000 insulating my house last year. I used 49% less usage last month, and my bill decreased 12%. The math is not mathing, okay? So yes, I am here for the people over here that were having about the electricity. I did hear that if you filed a petition about a complaint, that they couldn't shut off your power while it was under investigation. So that might be something that you check into, okay? Thank you.
So my name's Tom Nallen. I actually work at Petit Electric. I've had the privilege of working for you, our members, and serving you the last almost 21 years. When I got here to Arkansas, back to Arkansas off the mission field of Japan, I considered it a great privilege and honor to be able to come back to my home state of Arkansas and be able to live in the most beautiful setting in the state of Arkansas, which I consider to be in Petit Electric's territory. So it's a privilege to be here. It's also a privilege to serve you. And I'm here. I'm not going to be able to answer everything that everybody has said here tonight. It's just going to be impossible because of time and those kind of constraints. But I will tell you this: we don't cut anybody off because they can't pay their bill. We work with people all the time. We are required under the rules. We are required under the rules of the Public Service Commission to give you at least 3 months to pay your bill. And we do that routinely all the time. We give. Well, then I want to know about it, and I will talk to that person. I heard what you shared earlier. I'll be happy to. But I'm just telling you, we follow the rules of the Public Service Commission.
I have a question.
And we work. Okay, let me just. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So you're saying that it's at least 3 months, but if we are 1 day late, we get not only a written notice, but we also get called saying that our electric will be shut off if we don't pay it within, I believe it's 10 days. So is that a bullying technique? If that is not.
These are the rules of the Arkansas Public Service Commission. We have to give you at least 3 months. But I can tell you, we do more than that on occasion, right? Whenever people say, "Hey, that's too hard." So let me just tell you this: the average bill we're talking about. Let's get back to what the real problem is. The real problem is we had some really, really cold weather. We had 24 days of below freezing temperatures in January. 12 of those were in the teens or in the single digits.
We had that last one too.
And we had also 34 more billing days this month. And we had 32 last year, if you want to compare the two. But if you don't mind, let me just finish my thoughts here. But we work with everybody. What my primary message here tonight, as a person who serves you as your manager of member services, we provide ways to help you control your usage. We do it consistently. We've got levelized billing. We have Smart Hub. We provide free energy audits to anybody who asks for a free energy audit. We want to help you control your usage. We do a lot of things to help you mitigate against using power unnecessarily. We want you to use all that you need. We don't want you to waste any of it. And we're here to help you. And that's the primary message that I want to get to you. David, go ahead.
Tom, can you answer a question? Is it true that the co-ops are not regulated in the same way that energy is?
We are regulated the same exact way.
Have a follow-up?
Yes.
Is it true that Petit did enter a lawsuit with PSE over the net metering issue and also tried to remove Chairman Thomas from his post?
It is true. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions. How often are these meters calibrated? Have they ever been calibrated?
Yes, well, definitely they've been calibrated, or they've been tested before they go into the field.
Do you have records like after they're in?
We do. We do, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
and we test. Go ahead. We'll come out and test your meter too.
Okay, my second question is, going back to the salary of your board of directors, the CEO and everything like that, what kind of expenses are they getting allocated to? Because I've seen online that it's extreme amount up to $100,000 in extra expenses, $50,000 extra expenses. Can you explain that?
No, and that's
on top of salaries. This is what you provide.
Right. My capacity as manager of. I'm sorry. My capacity as manager of member services. I don't know the breakdown of how money gets allocated. In that department. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I got a bill for $680. 150 of it was for the debt adjustment. Confirm the debt adjustment and give some transparency on where that came from. Is that from the fiber side?
So the cost of debt adjustment, it's been on your bill at least the last 2 decades that I've worked for Petit Electric, every month. It's always there. It's always there.
Why is it different for everybody?
Why is it different every month?
Well, the reason why
It's a flat rate.
it's a calculation, and by the way, that when you look at your bill, I hear people all the time say to us, "Doggone it! Look how you're just sticking it to us. You got this, and this." Okay. Well, let me tell you.
There was a publication put out. I don't know where it came from, but you guys stated that you weren't going to charge us for any extra fees for fiber to electric customers.
Well, you're not. In fact, the Public Service Commission will not allow us, would not permit. Not that we want to, but the Public Service Commission would not permit or allow us to charge you for internet on your electric bill. It's not. The Public Service Commission will not allow that. That's what they do. All right. But the debt. Let me answer the lady's question right here. The debt is the interest payment that we have to make. A utility business are capital intensive businesses. It takes a lot of money to build power lines. It costs $45,000 for one. It costs $45,000 for 1 mile of single phase line. It costs over $100,000 for 3-phase line. Petit Electric cannot go out and just write a check every time we build and just from our bank account. We have to go borrow that money. Well, what has happened to the price of materials? Think about this. Look at Pettigene's perspective. We're working on the national level. We're working with President Trump. We're glad that he's reining in the EPA right now because we're losing 2 coal-fired plants in Arkansas because of overly aggressive EPA regulations, and now we have to build over 2,000, right at 2,000 kilowatts of new generation of natural gas because they don't want us to use coal, but we're going to still have to pay for those coal-fired plants. And but to get back to the cost of debt, somebody mentioned that. That's why I kind of got off track there a little bit. But the cost of debt. Think about poles used to cost $400 a piece. We're now paying $900 to $1,000 for a pole.
But the poles were put
How many
in
poles?
place
What?
to build out fiber. The poles
Hold on. I'll get to that. I promise you, I will get to that. Okay. And we also, transformers used to cost $350. Those 15 kVA transformers at your house, they used to cost $350. Now they're costing $1,000, $1,100, and $1,200.
But why?
Okay.
Why is it it's not a flat rate? I mean, it's like these night lights we've got. I've got a night light
Right,
at Shirley.
right.
I got a night light at Shirley. I got a night light at Century. My Century's night light costs more than Shirley's. Does it take more electricity to run my night light at Century's than it does Shirley?
That's the reason why now you're.
I mean, it's crazy.
I get you, and that's a fair question. So the cost of debt, it's calculated every quarter, every 3 months. That's the reason why. It doesn't change as often, right? The power cost, now, let me explain. The power cost adjustment changes every month. In fact, this past year, you got credit. Actually, a credit 4 times. Your power cost adjustment, if you go back and look at your bills, hold on.
I went up to Petit Electric the other day to talk to them. Since 2008, I built my house. I've been being charged for 2 night lights at my house since 2008. I've only had 1. Their response was, we can only go back a year, and then they just walk away. So I called and left a message for Mr. Kirkland. Evidently, he's too busy to answer the phone to call anybody back. Right. I say we clean house and get a whole new board in.
David, I'm going to let this gentleman here. He's had his hand up for a long time. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I don't have full hearing. I'm sorry.
I got 2 questions.
Okay.
Within the last 4 years, Michael Kirkland has received over $100,000 in pay raise since 2020. Is that true?
We're probably paying his electric bill.
Sir, I'm not going to comment on salaries and things like that. That's a board decision.
Why will he not call a person back? Is that not what he's there for? I have left messages. He seems, I guess he lost my number. I don't know. Do I need to call again?
He's been very, very busy, I can assure you. I understand, but we all are. Yeah. But I can't speak to that. I can't answer that question. That's a board decision, and I don't get involved in board matters.
Was my truckman out there?
I would bring him in here and let him ask questions.
I seen him out there in the lobby a while ago.
Did you?
Where's he at? I mean, he really needs to be in here talking.
What's bothering me, Tom, is the inconsistencies with which you follow the guidance of the PSC. You only throw the PSC under the bus when something comes bad and get heat from the electric bills. You violated PSC laws when net metering was passed. I know your lobbyists run around the Capitol working with energy, and you're fighting for legislation that's going to make this debt recovery worse. And energy customers are going to pay 40% on infrastructure. And so what you're passing on to the ratepayers is ethically wrong and morally wrong. I think you know that. Because you're going to make us pay for investments. Even if they go south, we're still going to be carrying the debt for you. And that's not wrong. That's wrong.
So tell me, what is the question, David?
No, my question is, you don't consistently follow the guidance of the PSC, and when they do something you don't like, you sue them, and it's consistent. It's been that way. We fought you on solar, and we're going to continue to have this battle on debt recovery because the way the legislation writes now, and the legislation that's eventually coming, will allow you to pass on your poor investments onto your ratepayers. Now, I will tell you, Tom, electricity in rural Arkansas would not be here without the co-ops. But somewhere along the way, y'all lost your way. Yes. I was trying to do something that was according to the PSC to get net metering to offset my balance to get solar panels installed on my house. Couldn't do it.
David,
Why? Because you illegally were charging us.
Journalist to journalist, what does net metering do? Do you know?
Yes.
What does net metering forces all these people to pay for your solar panels? That's what it does.
And we got all of those buildings over there.
No, I don't have solar panels. I couldn't get it because you violated the PSC rule by charging us $100,000 for $1 million worth of.
So to Michelle's point, going back to the
Please explain to them what net metering is.
It's just an
actually going back to what David is talking about here, the net metering law that got changed. In my judgment, it was the most ethical thing that could have been done. And the reason I say that is this reason. The reason why it needed to be changed is the solar industry lobbied so strong that it was forcing your electric cooperative, Petit Electric, to pay retail rates instead of wholesale costs. We were paying 10 cents a kilowatt hour for his solar panels and other people's solar panels when we could have bought the same kilowatt hour for half the price at the wholesale rate from the generation facilities that we have. That is immoral. I'm going to tell you that is immoral. And that's what our legislators recognize, and that's why the legislators reversed that law and changed the law to what it is today. We argued and defended for you to have the lowest rates possible to you, which is what we consistently do. We consistently do that.
What about the right-of-way rights?
Sir?
What about right-of-way rights? Fiber installed?
What about right-of-way rights?
Yeah, Petit, that's, there's more, you have to, I downloaded it. There's other states, man, that's following that y'all didn't have the right to run the fiber on y'all's power lines. Even just because y'all own the poles, we actually should have got paid for them running the fiber. For inconvenience of the property.
Well, we don't buy anybody's rights. I mean, we don't buy anybody's land. We do get easements, right? I mean, how many of y'all signed an easement? Right? So when you sign that easement, you authorize us to maintain that line or that line so that you can get the power. Man, you've had your hand up a long, long time, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am.
I want to go back to the cold weather that you started out with.
Okay.
My bill, actually, I used 1,700 less kilowatt hours this time than for exactly the same period of time this time last year. But yet my bill almost doubled. And when I called Petit and talked to the girl there, she was real sweet at first. Then she got ugly with me. And she said, well, it was cold. And I said, I actually used
1,700 less kilowatt hours this year than last year.
Right.
And a lot of the people here did, these ladies did too. And so she looked at my bill and she said, well, you had some rate increases. Yes, you did. It amounts to about, on mine, a penny a kilowatt, or 0.01 kilo per kilowatt charge, and of course taxes that flow with it. About $60. Didn't account for the fact that my bill went from $314 to $718.
Wow.
But at the same time, she looked at my debt adjustment charge, and of course that went from 0.07 in January of 0.007 in January of last year to 0.028, quadruple.
I mean, I can't, obviously, and I would love to sit down and visit with you. I'm sorry you had that experience with our member services. That we're not perfect, I can assure you that.
I have one more question for you. I have my account drafted on my bank card. And every month, it drafts on my bank card. I went in last February, we updated my bank card a year ago. For the last 11 months, it's drafted perfectly last month. This month, I noticed on my account yesterday that it hadn't been deducted. Petit Electric had not been deducted. So I went in, I called this morning, and I got, again, another pretty nasty girl. And she said, well, your card was declined. And I said, it's my bank card, and I'm looking at my bank account, and there's more than enough money there to pay the bill. Not that I really want to, but there's more than enough money there to pay this bill.
Yes, ma'am.
And she said, well, it's not my problem. You'll have to talk to your bank. So I went to the bank, First Arkansas Bank and Trust. Robin looked it up. Looked at this month, looked at last month when it drafted. When you draft, you have to put a zip code in there. The zip code in there last month was my Shirley zip code, 72153. Somehow, between last month and this month, that zip code got changed to 72088.
We were one
How
day away
was
from
that?
a penalty.
Yeah, because we would have been delinquent tomorrow. We took the money up there today, and I spoke to Constance. I spoke to Constance, who, by the way, is excellent. I asked for her specifically. Constance looked it up, and she says, we can't see anything but the last four of the card and the expiration date. So I don't know what was sent in, but Robin showed me, so I know Robin's was correct. It came from your end. How did it change my card zip code? Obviously, it can't do it by itself, so somebody changed it. My daughter actually deals, she works for a large corporation and deals with internet security. That's her job. She's director of internet security for a large multinational corporation. And either you have a hacker, as this lady who also dealt with that said, you have a hacker in your system, or you have an employee who has access to changing those things. You have an issue.
So let me just respond to that this way. We have the system itself is very easy to trace. If anybody made such a change, I could get with you, I could look at your account. It will record if there was any change like that made by an employee or anyone. It's called transaction history. It's one of the nice features of our system that protects and safeguards your information. I will also say we have a very, very skilled IT department that is probably one of the best in the state. I will say this, that Mr. Chris Green, who is our IT supervisor, hands down, I'm a former Navy nuclear operator. I've worked with IT people my entire life. He's probably the best I've ever worked with in the whole time that I've been alive and worked with people. You have experts at Petit Electric. I'm proud of Petit Electric. I'm going to tell you that right now, and I'm going to tell you why. We have done nothing but serve the member and looked out for the member all these many years that I've been there. We have provided you reliable service. How many of y'all did without power during January? but to get you the reliability, the reliable power that you have, it takes money. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
We pay.
And
I'm just going to cut you off, not trying to be disrespectful, but I think I'm speaking for everybody in this room. We cannot afford these rates. There are people around us that have lower rates than us, but we don't have the choice to use them. You have a monopoly here. You have Social Security. Hold on. And I know there's another county. We are some of the poorest people in this state, okay? I love that you're a veteran. Thank you. So is my husband. He's retired. We have disability, all this stuff. He still has to work full time, and I work just to afford everything. Everybody in this room works their butt off, or they're living on disability or Social Security, okay? My bill was $299 more than last month. That's not because it was cold. Something happened. My bill was $200 more than this same month last year, and I only used 113 more kilowatts. David, are you still here? Yes. The thing about your not being able to get solar. We had a guy come out to our house this week to talk to us. He said that he is actually able to fight with Petit against that now because that wasn't actually legal. That there's not supposed to be a $1 million policy, and they can't make you do that. So do try it again. I want to get solar because I can't afford to pay this every month. We put it on a credit card this month, and we're not poor.
We're going. Then you pay.
Hey, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm a mad mom. I've got a little girl that has Down syndrome, and we make too much money for her to have Medicaid, so we pay for her Tefra. We pay out the wazoo for everything, but we cannot afford this.
I will tell you, Petit is not the only electric utility in the state of Arkansas that is struggling right now. Every utility has a different rate structure. Every utility is set up in a different way. But it is happening. I can assure you. There are others who are struggling. Everybody is dealing with high costs for materials. Everybody is dealing. I don't know that I ever answered your question, ma'am. So the high cost of materials. The fact, how many of you have bought a truck here recently, or any vehicle? What kind of interest rate? What kind of interest rate did you get? So all of this goes to the cost of debt. When we have to spend twice as much for materials, we have to borrow the money that we borrow to maintain the lines that we have at a higher interest. That means that we have to increase the cost of
the debt. Why is it that everybody's cost of debt is different? Why isn't a flat rate on everyone?
Because
I use more electricity,
okay.
I pay more debt.
Okay, you asked a fair question. Let me answer it. So the Public Service Commission tells us how to calculate that cost of debt. As I started earlier to say, the Public Service Commission requires us to list every item on your bill that you see. That is a requirement. It's not that we tack on anything to your bill. We used to send out a bill. When I first came to Petit Electric, we sent you out a postcard. How many of y'all can remember that?
But you're saying it's itemized.
Okay, it has, you used to get a bill and it had a total number. And it might say $259. It might say $300. And I know, Esther, you can remember this, and people would say, what did I pay for? How did that money, where did it go? And and so the Public Service Commission said, you need to communicate how much did people pay toward kilowatt hours? How much did people pay toward power cost adjustments? How much? So we had to itemize it. That's a public service requirement. And the cost of debt is one of those requirements. We have to report that to you. Somebody talked about transparency earlier. We are being totally transparent with you. On every bill, we're transparent with you. And you can always call, and I will be happy to answer any question that you have.
When I sit around and call there, and I would tell them, I can't afford to pay my bill, I need to have my bill put off till a certain day. Well, I had issues. I was in a bad car accident 25 years ago in April. And I had problems where I couldn't pay because I kept waiting for disability to kick in. Finally kicked in, but I don't get very much. And whenever my bill was going to be late, I'd always call them. Then Petit was so kind that they tacked on a deposit. If it's bad enough I can't pay my damn bill, why do they turn around and tack on a deposit? Then they turn around and do it again. It took me this many freaking years to get my deposit back, and I finally got it back. But then they turn around and credit my bill X amount. From November. I had over $600 credit. And boom, come January, that over $600 is gone now.
Right. Well, I can
But
tell
I
you.
guarantee you, they're going to do it to everybody here that can't pay their bill. They're going to be tacking on deposits, so they're going to be collecting more money from people that can't pay it. I guarantee you that, Tom.
So let me just say that the Public Service Commission requires that security deposits be increased on people's bills. That is a requirement. What you have to understand is that we have to operate according to the rules of the Arkansas Public Service Commission. And that's what we do. We do it humanely. Let me tell you what we do in this case. What the Public Service Commission actually requires is that when we increase your security deposit, we increase it the full amount. They want so if your bill requires you to have a $400 security deposit because of your usage, it's got to be based on usage. And let's say you only have $100 of security deposit. According to the Public Service Commission rules, we're required to put $300 security deposit on your account. Required. You know what we do? We do it in $50 increments for the very reason that you just mentioned. It's not that we're tagging on. It's like, okay, she had a problem paying her bill. We're not going to stick her with the full amount if she couldn't pay her bill to begin with. So we're going to increase it just $50. But we're moving in the right direction because anybody can have a bad month and not pay their bill. So, you know, that's the best answer that I can give you.
With the family that has sick people in the family, and you want to turn around and tack on a deposit with theirs, or things that they can't pay it, I think that's pretty sad. Co-op.
Yes, ma'am.
Like with mine.
Okay, I went to college for business administration. And in that, I did learn one thing, which is if you mismanage so severely that you're that far in debt, and then you tax that onto your customers, it's illegal. You can go to jail for that.
For what again?
For mismanaging money to where you're that much money in debt, and then just charging people the...
Well, if you're like me, that's what was Mr. Clark, I believe it was. Is he here? Where did he go?
He left.
Okay, so, you know, Mr. Clark mentioned a lot of money. I mean, that is a lot of money for me and for you, but that's what it takes whenever you're a capital-intensive business. That's what it takes. Do you realize that 1/6 of the economy is energy?
You don't get to mismanage the money no matter what business you're in and then turn around and charge everybody else for your mismanagement.
We're not mismanaging the money. That's my point. We are not mismanaging money. We are using the money wisely. We are using it wisely. We're providing you reliable energy. We do that. We're very proud of that, what we do. I'm very proud of the linemen that were here earlier. And, sir, you have a question.
Now, I must say that I have a house in Arizona, okay, and it's got a co-op just like this one, and it's just about as big as Petit is. They have no cost of adjustment, no debt adjustment cost, none.
Because they didn't mismanage their money.
Now I will tell you that I've been in the solar industry for a long time, building utility scale solar fields. And when you go and you ask for net metering, they have to supply you net metering, but at wholesale cost. Whatever the wholesale cost is, that's what they'll buy back for you.
Yep.
That's net metering. They don't buy it back at the rate they're charging. They buy it back at a wholesale cost.
How are you going to make money if everybody's...
And here's the reason why. And here's the reason why that's fair. Let me ask you this: why should you, who invested in Petit Electric for 85 years, who put those lines, who put those poles, those transformers, those regulators, those substations in place, why should you facilitate cost-free at your expense if we paid them retail rates like we were, when they didn't put a single penny in the infrastructure that moves their electrons around. So why should you, the ratepayer, subsidize the solar industry? So you talk about standing on its own feet. You want something to stand on its own feet. That's what we said all along at Petit Electric. We're not against solar. We just want it to stand on its own feet. We're not going to let it make money off the back of the ratepayers, you. And that's what we argue for. So let me just a quick note. And I'm going to clarify something real quick. Everybody's talked about this solar plant that we put in beside Petit Electric.
Yeah, it ain't helping me.
It didn't cost. Oh, yes, it is.
My
No, it is actually helping you. Oh, it is. That is a 1 megawatt facility that was built. It cost Petit Electric nothing. It cost you nothing. The company that put that in said, we will build the plant for you. We will maintain the plant for you. All we ask for you to do is buy the electricity that generates from it for the next, I think it's 20, if not 25 years, at like 4 cents a kilowatt hour, which is a penny less than the wholesale rate. So why would we not do that for you? Why would so like me? I can't afford a solar panel.
You're buying it for
I can't afford to put a solar panel on my house. But Petit Electric built a solar panel for all of us. It's a 1 megawatt solar panel that gives you a break on your rate. We only have to, that's 1 megawatt of power that you only pay 4 cents a kilowatt hour on versus 5 cents a wholesale power cost. That, my friends, speaks to the leadership of the board of directors of Petit Electric and Mr. Kirkland. That is true leadership. Yes, sir.
Quick question on optimization and network services and all that. You have Petit Fiber and you have Petit Electric. Fiber's a subsidiary controlled by the same board, right? So the cost of debt adjustment, when all the fiber went in, we all saw telephone poles going up left and right with fiber on it. How come on our bills we have, I mean, I'm looking at it was $150 a month, $1,800 a year for telephone poles and infrastructure. How come when you look at the cost sheets and everything, there's nothing on the cost of debt adjustment on the fiber side? Why? From a business standpoint, I think that there's 20,000 members, right? There's not as many fibers, so you're going to get your debt paid back quicker, less interest.
Okay, so let's look at. I got you. So let's look at it this way. All of you are, I presume, Petit Electric members, correct? Okay. Now, how many of you have Petit Fiber? How many of you have fiber? Not everybody. How many of you are Petit members, electric members, but you're not Petit Fiber customers? Okay. So the electric company own you, as all of you who are members of this group right here, who are Petit Electric members. You are actually owners of Petit Fiber. Whether you are an internet user or not, you do own it. And the money that Petit Fiber is making, and let me emphasize that, Petit Electric is making money. That's money that goes back to you, the member, who owns the electric cooperative.
Why does our bill increase salaries?
So that comes back to you. You benefit from that because you own Petit Fiber, and it's making money for you, and it feeds into the overall revenue of Petit Electric.
Okay, you said that several times. What is the benefit?
The benefit is that in the bigger accounting picture of Petit Electric, that money flows into Petit Electric and helps defray and offset future rate increases for you. Yes, ma'am.
Maybe the CEO can negate anything you said or because obviously the manager can't. Just kind of reminder. He's standing right here. Yeah, he needs to come on up here too. Come on, answer some questions. Stop standing at the door.
Where's Kirkland? We're paying him.
He's right there.
Mr. Kirkland is right here with us. If he would like to speak to the crowd, I would be happy and honored to yield the floor to him.
You're doing a good job.
I've been here all night. If your nose started, I get questions. I just want to let me ask you, my arms about to be okay. The cost of debt adjustment, that's five, am I correct in that?
No.
So it's not. So how long is this debt cost adjustment going to go on for?
Until we pay the debt off.
We can't afford it. What is it? We can't afford it. What is the debt? What is the debt?
I can't hear. I really can't hear with everybody speaking.
None of us will have electricity if the rates keep going this way.
What is the debt that we're paying for? What is the debt that we are paying for that you were saying?
The debt that we incurred was to change out poles, transformers, wires, conductors.
The number. Okay, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So was that all connected with doing the fibers insert?
Yes.
I don't want to
But it's all connected.
I don't have fiber. I don't want to pay your debt.
Ma'am,
I don't have fiber. What? I don't want to pay your debt. No.
if you could come closer, I'm sorry. I know you're all hurting. I just want to say something. I know you're all hurting. We feel that you're hurting. We understand that you're hurting.
You ain't. You're going up.
I'll tell you what. We will set something up so that we can come in and that each one of you will have your questions heard. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to a mob criticize people. How many of you sat without power during that cold snap?
I did.
For how long?
We still got charged for energy. I think the better question is how many people can't buy groceries.
Can I just
think-
say one quick thing?
You sure can, yes ma'am.
You guys are, look, I know some of y'all, you look like good people. I'm not here to put you
We
down
are
or
good
anything like that. We are too.
We believe
I've
it.
lived here 36 years, my husband and I. We can pay my $716 bill this month. The first time in 36 years have I ever had a bill like that. Do I want to pay it? No. I feel like he reached into my purse and took $300 away from me. That's $300 I can't spend in Clinton. We live on a fixed income. We worked our butts off all of our life and did everything by the book so that everything we own is paid for. We have money in savings, okay? I didn't think at 65 when I'm on Social Security that I'm having to pull out of my savings to pay my electric bill. And why that adjustment? Why can't it be over the whole year? Why do you just slam us in January and December?
Why can't it be a flat rate for everyone?
Why can't it be a little bit at a time?
Thank you for
Something happened in January.
Thank you for bringing that up. We are as surprised and have sticker shock as much as you are. We did not expect these bills to be this high. We are trying.
Some of us ain't even gonna be able to afford to feed our kids.
We are trying to work through this, and we will work through this.
I got a question.
Mr. Kirkland,
How come the city always make more money than everybody
do
else?
the debt adjustment, so you not just cut it down half of that. Because, you know, I have a mother that's on a fixed income, and she's deciding what kind of medicine to get for her and my dad. My husband just started another heart medicine. I can't even pick it up at Walmart.
The last thing in the world that we want for our members, for our neighbors, our family, or for you to suffer on our account. That's the last thing that we have.
And when I called Petit Jean, I have to say this, I can't complain if I don't call.
That's right, and we want you to.
I called, and this was what was said to me. And I'm new to Facebook, by the way, never been on it since day one. I do some little crafts, and I thought I'd put my little crafts on Facebook. So that's when I started seeing all of this and all of the trouble going on. I think I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, I called Petit Jean, that's what I was going to say. How are you going to fix it? And my answer, her answer to me was that my usage was crazy. That's what was said to me, crazy. She has this much of a home and a pool and a this and a that, and she's never had usage go over 200 a day. And I said, well, maybe it's my meter. It's not your meter. Today it's this and this and this and this. I said, well, then something is going on because the whole town on the same month had the same thing happen. It's my, she said, go get my heater checked. It's not my heater. It's not their heaters. Something's wrong. It happened this month. Something happened. I wasn't even going to complain about my December bill, which was $500.
Let me get back to my question if you could.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for your comments. They didn't fall on deaf ears.
Okay.
My bill went from $662 to $1,120. Now, I'm fortunate I can pay that, but my heart bleeds for these people that can't pay that and are doing without some. My next question is, Mr. Nolan said earlier that you guys are willing to spread out the amount.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Is there a charge then for spreading that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, my next thing is, if you spread it out like that and we keep getting these high bills, how in the heck are they ever going to catch up?
That's a good question. And yes, we can do delay payment arrangements. We can do levelized billing to get your bills levelized. We can do levelized billing. We can do prepaid meters. There are things we can do. I can assure all of you that when the temperatures moderate, the bills will.
I got a question about the So you're saying that the bills are going to just
This is a fact that has.
But does that affect their cost of debt adjustment then?
Yes, and somebody mentioned the cost of debt adjustment being a fixed rate.
Yeah, I mean, why isn't it? I pay, my electric bill runs more than a lot of people in here. I can pay mine, that's no problem. But the more my electric bill, the more my debt adjustment.
That's right.
Why is that?
Because we follow the rules set forth by the Arkansas Public Service Commission. We fill out a form that we submit to the Arkansas Public Service Commission, and they tell us how to apply that to the bill.
Okay.
I don't disagree one bit.
My nightlight. I use more electricity, my nightlight bill's higher. It used to, I mean, years ago, these nightlights used to be $10 flat rate.
Yes, right.
Now you're paying taxes on the nightlight, you're paying energy on the nightlight, you're paying for the nightlight. I mean, what changed all that? I mean, does it take more to run my nightlight at Shirley than it does to run my center? It goes off when the sun comes up, comes on when the sun goes down.
Right. You're right about
Those are
that.
different. My last question is,
Yes, ma'am.
I pay my bill online. But you can't pay the $500. You can't go more than $500.
You can this month.
You can this month all of a sudden.
Imagine that.
All of a sudden.
tomorrow. So I'll be able
What are you doing to actually help us? You said you're trying real hard. What are you doing?
What are we doing? We are going back through, we've got auditors at the office, well, they've already left. We're looking at everything to make sure, to absolutely ensure that the debt that was incurred to take on fiber is being paid for by fiber. That is what we are making sure of. But I want you to understand that during the fiber, that while we were rolling out fiber, while we were doing this, we were also rolling out a construction work plan to help your power quality, to help your reliability. I'm sorry, I really am, that the costs of electricity are rising.
How much would it help you if everybody got on your internet? Because it's $10 cheaper to have our telco than it is Petit.
I want to ask everybody, for those of you who have Petit fiber, are you aware of the co-op member discount?
No.
And we posted on Facebook.
Why don't they tell you when you're?
Why don't they just automatically apply it?
There's a reason. That is a good question. Because we want to talk to you. We want to talk to you and get your information. Listen, I'm here voluntarily. I'm here voluntarily. And I'll be glad to stay. But I'm not going to tolerate a bunch of rude behaviors.
How come the CEO makes no more money than the president?
I don't know how much.
I want to know about that. Come on, answer it.
He don't want to tell you.
Sir! Answer it.
My 12-year-old
Listen, I will stay and talk all night long.
I want to know where that money goes.
I'm not going to be yelled at.
I just want to know where that money goes. The CEO makes more than the president? Come on. Where's that money go?
I have no idea what the president makes.
That's why I'm opening my door.
It makes $4.25.
This little girl wants to talk to you.
We have a question here. This is my family. She's a cardiac patient. He's on oxygen. I have multiple sclerosis. I have in-home care 3 days a week. I'm at risk of losing my in-home care because they can't do it because I don't have electricity. His oxygen won't run. What are we supposed to do? Because with these bills, we're not going to catch up. We can't. We don't live on $2,000 a month.